And welcome to another edition of It's a Sports Show. I'm Scott Cray, as always, Dolphin Paul. Why am I being foolish? Because the Super Bowl is foolish, and that's just the way I feel.
I thought you were Michael Wilbon there for a second.
Yeah, they do that whole PTI thing. You know.
And now I'm Kornheiser.
This is unbelievable. As always, Dolphin Paul, I'm Scott Cray. Another fine edition of It's a Sports Show, the post-Super Bowl edition. And we find out just moments ago, hot off the press from our communications department, that our Rhode Island viewers did not get to watch us last week. Apparently a technical glitch of some sort.
A snafu. I like to call it snafu because I like that word.
There will be here to pay.
Our Rhode Island viewers did not see our pre-Super Bowl show. And
imagine, we both picked Steelers, 21-10.
21-10.
We got the yardage right. What?
Everything right. We even
prove us wrong, Rhode Island
Not to mention
viewers.
all the money we made on the game.
Unbelievable.
No, we're just kidding. We apologize to Rhode Island viewers. Technical snafu.
What do you think of these roses? Thank you, by the way.
Well, I mean,
that's very nice of you.
I'm a little nervous because I don't know if you're
going to gel today. Got a new haircut.
I'm a little nervous. I don't know if you're going to ask me to marry you or something, but you know, I'm kind of spoken for.
The audience all know you sent me the flowers. Stop joshing, okay?
But actually, that's a reminder to all our viewers to go out and buy something for their significant other, because the next time the show is...
Oh, this is our pre-Valentine's
Pre-Valentine's.
And when you have a female producer, like Farrah is, by the way, she's leaving shortly as our female producer. She's not coming back as a male producer. She's just not coming back at all. And we're going to miss her. But not yet. We'll save that.
Well, you know what it is?
For when it's time to eat.
It's a sports show is... How should I say this? I equate it to the...
Going downhill quickly?
No, I equate it to the Providence College basketball coaching job. Okay. And the reason I say that, it's a stepping stone. When you come to It's a Sports Show, immediate recognition, off to better things.
They move on.
They move right on.
So Farrah's moving on to bigger shows.
Bigger shows.
Good for her. I hope she drags us with her.
Well, let's talk about, I guess we're going to talk about one of the oddest Super Bowls in history. And the reason I say odd is because...
odd. How about terrible, stink, suck?
Well, I say odd because there's
a lot. Awful.
There's a 1 or 2 days, we taped the show on Tuesday, a lot of controversy about the referees, the play of both teams.
Well, it's not
halftime shows, commercials.
The pre-ceremony, the pre-Super Bowl stunk. The Super Bowl stunk. The halftime show was produced terribly, whether you're a Rolling Stones fan or not. And the post-show was produced terribly, whether you like the Steelers or not. And the commercials, not so impressive. They weren't impressive last year either. I remember that. You used to be able to vote or talk about at the water cooler the next day your favorite commercial. There's a couple, and it's usually sex appeal that is the reason why you like it. The whole comedy thing is out the window. You know what I mean? So that's how I feel.
I thought there was a couple cute commercials. I guess maybe we can stop with the commercials of Super Bowl because that's what a lot of people look forward to. I mean,
it's certainly, people remember a lot more about the commercials than they do about the Super Bowl itself.
Did you have any favorites?
Yeah, but not that I want my middle school students to know about.
Well, that was a funny one. That was a funny one. But I like the one where the guy has a defibrillator and he kills the fly, and the mother and daughter come in and go, oh, that killed him. Right. I thought that was pretty good. A couple of the other ones were dumb.
I miss the days of Louis the Lizard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For that beverage commercial.
The Pepsi was stupid.
The Pepsi was dumb. What was the one with, who's that girl that everybody likes now? I can't, Farrah must know who she is. The girl that everybody's into, she's blonde, kind of not that smart.
Jessica Simpson?
Yeah, she had a commercial, dumb. You know, she's feeding the guy food. Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, no, there was a lot.
I'll feed myself food.
There was some bad commercials. I thought the two monsters was kind of weird, too. With the
commercials
being pregnant and then the little Hummer comes out.
Well, I was trying to see where the heck they were going with that whole thing. I felt like that commercial was 10 minutes long, for crying out loud.
A couple of them were cute. One that's up our alley, if you're married and own a home, I thought a good commercial was the guys going up on the roof with their toolboxes.
I didn't see that one.
You didn't see that one? Well,
I might have gave up at that point.
Well, they go up. One guy goes up on the roof and he says, "Yeah, I'm fixing my shingles." He looks up to the next guy. "What are you doing?" Guy says, "I'm fixing my satellite." They both open their chairs, open a toolbox, and they're drinking.
Nice.
And then there's one guy next to him, and he goes, "Oh, I'm fixing. I got some leaks in the roof." They go, "Yeah, yeah." He goes, "No, I really do." And he falls through. Then the box hits my head. I thought that was pretty good.
Sounds like it.
Well, let's get to the game. What'd you think of the game itself?
It's a joke. I mean, the team that won were wearing white and black. That's who won. And honestly, I don't know if at this level of public access television, where you're entitled to say your own thing, I don't know if I could get in trouble for this. I'm sure I can't. But the whole referee thing was a joke to the point where I'm debating the possibility of some sort of conspiracy here. And I haven't heard anyone say it on the radio. I haven't read it. Haven't seen it on TV. Don't know. I'm sure I'm not the first to say it. But it was such a joke that I wonder if there's a little something going on here, and that if this is going to be the, you know, the Detroit, you know, black Super Bowl, so to speak.
Well, let's start off with the game. Seattle was controlling most of the first half.
Yes.
Well, most of the first quarter and a half, I would say.
Well, both the first quarter was all defense.
It was all defense, but mostly Seattle. They had field position. You know, they had a couple penalties that pushed them back, to which we'll talk about.
Yep.
And they kind of let the Steelers hang in. The score was only 3-0. And I told people, I said, boy, this is one of those games where one team's controlling it, a la the New England-Denver game.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, boom, Pittsburgh gets a big play, score a touchdown, and out the half is 7-3. But, I mean, there was no big plays, no diving catches.
In the entire game, or we still just...
Yeah, pretty much the entire game. Even at the beginning, I mean, it basically came down to 2 plays.
Yes.
The whole Super Bowl was that...
I got 3, but...
Well, that Willie Parker run.
Yes.
And that probably the best pass of the game was thrown by a wide receiver.
Yes. That was outstanding.
Great play. Randall on the reverse, threw to Hines Ward.
Seattle bit, and they paid 7 points
and
for
Hines Ward, great player. A guy who's always smiling. We talked about it before. Good character guy.
Yep.
Everybody seems to like him. And
owner of a new Cadillac Escalade.
Owner of a new Cadillac, and he was clearly the MVP. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Well, I mean, MVP in, you know, a game that it was tough to find an MVP. You know what I'm saying?
That was true.
He deserved it. He got over 100 yards. It was a very dull
Super Bowl. But hey, listen, if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, you got to enjoy it. I mean, they won a Super Bowl. That's the bottom line. But to everybody else watching, I mean, unfortunately, most people talk about the referees in the situation.
You have to. How can you not? Well, they determined the outcome of the Super Bowl. Seattle did not. Pittsburgh did not. The referees determined the outcome of the Super Bowl.
I don't think the referees determined the outcome of this Super Bowl. I thought they had an effect. But listen.
To have an effect?
Well, let's get to Seattle.
You can't say it wasn't a close game.
Okay. Before the half.
Seattle.
What is Hasselbeck doing with 40 seconds to go?
That's not Hasselbeck. That's the coach on Seattle's sideline.
If the coach isn't getting it done, Hasselbeck has to get it done.
Well, don't forget, he hasn't been in that mode before.
I don't care if he's been in the mode or not. He's in the league for 7 years. He's standing here dancing like he's doing that video game where you dance and the time just going down. And we go, what the heck is going on?
Terrible.
He just spike the ball or throw it. At the end of the first half, and even at the end of the game, albeit the Seahawks had a long shot to win.
Right.
That was 2 of the worst minutes of football I've seen.
Well, let's not forget something, okay? Seattle got penalized for 70-something yards, but when you add in how much they got taken back, okay, the penalties were more like 170 yards or 160 yards. 160 yards is a huge difference for one team. Every single time Seattle made a play or attempted to drive down the field, something happened that turned out to be reviewable, was reviewed. Everybody at home is saying it's going to be overturned, and it's not.
Well, let's talk about a few of those instances. The reason I disagree with you is because Seattle hurt themselves in a few different ways, i.e., before the half, at the end of the game, even though at the end of the game, it was a long shot to score and get an onside kick.
Right.
Okay? That was a couple of the instances that Seattle hurt themselves. And I kind of lost my train of thought here.
That's all right.
You were talking about the referees.
Right. Well, let me tell you. Let's back up a little. You were talking about bad clock management at the end of the second half and how neither coach nor quarterback knew what the heck they were doing as time was ticking. They took, what did you say, 40-something seconds off the clock? Or was
there was about 40-something seconds left, and they took another 20, 25 seconds.
Hasselbeck was relying on his coach to call a play, and I understand Hasselbeck should take over at that point, but it starts at the top. He's relying for his coach to make a play. And you know what was going wrong with Coach? He was so incensed by what had happened on that last penalty that he couldn't even get his train of thought back.
Yeah,
you don't do that
I'm
in
sorry,
the Super
Scott,
Bowl.
that's no excuse, though. Right.
How can it's no excuse? But then when you look at, yes, no excuse once, twice, maybe even 3 times.
And then
but when this happens over and over again, and the referees keep screwing up plays.
I agree with you there, but Holmgren after the game says, you know, we were fighting the guys in the black and white shirts.
And he's absolutely right.
Yeah, but that's unprofessional to say.
Yes, and he'll get fined for it, but you know what? Someone has to step up and say it. Well, you know what?
Someone should step up and say, Mike, what happened before the half? When you and your quarterback were lollygagging.
He was incensed by the joke of a play that was called before that. All right, let's talk about the plays. Hasselbeck, they call a chop block on him.
Worst call of the game.
On a tackle.
Worst call of the game.
Okay.
Clearly,
so in that case,
the worst call of the game.
Now, you don't have the option of an instant replay on that one, okay?
But don't forget, Pittsburgh still would have kept the ball.
Right. Right.
Okay.
But it's a 15-yard penalty. Now, granted, again, I understand what Paul is saying, that these individual problems you have to overcome. I understand that. But the fact of the matter is, we're looking at the entire game here, okay? You got a chop block, 15 yards. 15 yards, your defense needs to kick in and get over that. But when you add in 15 yards on top of all the other penalties that were called, and they were always
I agree with you, but once again...
How about the push-off in the end zone? The phantom push-off. It didn't look like his push-off hand touched anybody at all.
I have to disagree with you. To me, that...
So you saw a push-off?
To me, that was pass interference. Here's the sad...
Offensive pass interference.
Offensive pass interference. Here's the sad part about that push-off, and I said this live.
Yep.
He didn't have to do it. I think because he was between the defender and the ball.
Absolutely.
But when you see the arm like this, and you see the guy like this, he's gaining...
Good sell.
Well,
sell.
Listen, he's gaining a small advantage. It doesn't matter.
Did you see the replay, though?
Yeah, but I've seen...
When he put out the stiff arm and the
guy
went
worse
like
than Asante Samuel against the Broncos.
There was absolutely no resistance, no change of movement by the defender to indicate that he was
all you need is a little push. Now,
Joke.
Michael Irvin made a living doing that. Now, that call there...
Back when you could do
that call there, I personally think that was pass interference, okay?
Okay.
Now, here, the 2 big calls, there's 3 calls that
were jokes.
2 calls that I think were definite jokes. One, they didn't show a replay on. Nobody challenged it, which I thought was a joke.
Right.
And I'll get to that in a minute. One is, of course, that the Hasselbeck
chop block.
Chop block was, I don't know what they were looking at. Absolute horrendous call.
Wrong player, wrong, you know.
The other
everything
one,
about that was wrong.
In the second half, when they got the ball, would have been 1st and goal. They called holding.
Yep. Which one was that?
That was in the second half. I forgot what the score was, but they threw it down to the 3 or 4 yard line. That's when Hasselbeck threw an interception.
Okay.
Right after that.
Yes.
They called holding.
Yes.
Very questionable holding call.
Yes.
The odd one to me was the Darrell Jackson long bomb. Now, I was a little bit under the influence of Amaretto on the rocks. I was on my 3rd.
Amaretto.
I like Amaretto. I'm a sweet tooth. But they threw the ball to Darrell Jackson.
This is the one where he hit the pylon?
He had 1 foot in.
Yes.
And I saw him drag his right foot. Now, watching it live,
yep.
I told the people I was with, I said, that's too bad he didn't hit that pylon, because if he does, to me, it's a touchdown, because they always say
then you saw the replay.
And I guess it was just a quick replay. I didn't catch that he hit the pylon.
He did.
Today, listening to everybody in the radio, they said he definitely hit it.
Joe.
To me, that should have been at least reviewed.
Right.
Excuse me.
And the previous play you were just talking about with the holding, was that not within 2 minutes where that should have been an automatic replay back up at the official box? Am I right or wrong?
Not the holding. You're talking about the Darrell Jackson.
Oh, the Darrell Jackson.
Well, holding. You can't overturn holding.
All right. Holding, you can't. That's right. I forget that, you know, in the game of instant replay, there are certain instant replays that you can't call. That's a joke in itself.
I don't understand the Darrell Jackson play, because if he indeed hit that pylon, to me, it's a touchdown because his left foot was in bounds.
It's reviewable at least.
It's reviewable, and all of a sudden they went on, and John Madden, I thought, did a terrible job of not pointing that out.
Right. Well, that, you know, he didn't care. It was his last game.
So, I mean, it was, again, the big one, Roethlisberger getting into the end zone.
Yep. Yep. I know.
I thought that call with Roethlisberger, however you call it on the field,
yep.
No evidence to overturn it.
Right.
I don't know if you agree with that, disagree with that.
Well, this is the one that he was
Roethlisberger,
airborne.
Yes, yes.
And crossed the plane, but was not down. But that doesn't matter because he had backward motion. You talking about that one? You talking about the one where he fell in his knee?
No, into the end zone.
Okay,
into the end zone.
There was another one too where he fell and his knee hit and the ball popped out.
No, but this one was the one into the end zone that was ruled. Here's the ironic thing.
That was ruled a touchdown.
The linesman or the referee or whatever that judge is called that's at the goal line, he comes down like this.
Yeah. Which
usually means the ball is down.
Right.
He gets halfway there.
Four fingers, too,
and all of a sudden he goes, touchdown. So that was kind of odd there because if you look at the replay, right away, Roethlisberger goes for the end zone, and then when he falls, he pushes the ball over.
Right.
Which the referee seems to have
Yeah,
to.
I saw,
You couldn't overturn it because all you have to do, that ball just has to touch the white line.
Right.
So
it doesn't have to touch it. It has to cross it before the backward motion is made. Has to cross it.
It has to break the plane.
Right.
That's it.
But it doesn't have to touch on the ground.
No, the white line.
Right.
Right. Exactly. Isn't it? It just has to
well, see, on
touch that
play,
white line.
Okay, originally I had said there's no way he had the touchdown. And I saw the first replay from a particular angle. I said, no way. And I actually had some money vested in the fact if he didn't get that touchdown, the way that quarter was going to end. I missed out on that. But
I think a lot of people.
Well, then when they showed the replay where you're facing Hasselbeck with him coming across this way, I thought he had the touchdown. It looked, all you need is the nose of the football. Roethlisberger, yeah. I thought, it looked to me like he had the
Either way.
I think they got the play right, but you're right with what the referee did.
I think either way, if they called that a non-touchdown, there was not enough evidence to overturn it.
Right.
They called it on the field, not enough evidence to overturn it.
That's the problem.
Pass interference, again, I thought there was a push-off early enough in the game.
Right.
And then we had those other calls, which were very questionable. So the referees, once again, Mike Pereira, the head of the officials, is going to have to come on and.
Oh, he already made his comments and said that he saw one play that was questionable and it didn't make a difference in the outset of the game.
What else is he going to say? But, from a Seattle point of view, and I just got my train of thought back there because I was going to go to a couple different areas.
Yep.
We talked about the time management before the first and second half.
Right.
Before the first half and at the end of the game.
End of the game.
One thing we talked about last week, and our Rhode Island viewers, again, did not see this. We went over all the stats of both teams.
Yep.
What was the one area that we picked out that was weaker, significally weaker,
it was time
the
of
past
possession.
five games? The kicking game.
Oh, right,
We said the Seattle kicker was 3 of 7,
yep.
where Pittsburgh was 6 of 6. And he missed those 2 field goals. That's 6 points right there.
That puts him, 3 of 9. Now you're batting .333. That's terrible for a field goal. Granted, one of them was a 54-yard, and the other was a 50.
The reason I say
these weren't gimmies.
The reason I say it didn't affect the total outcome of the game is because it's not like Seattle dominated the game. They had some.
No, but I wouldn't say
some
dominated the games,
before
but if
the
we're going
half,
to talk
at the
stats,
end of the game, they kicked those long field goals. They could have got better field position.
How about talk about bonehead plays?
Mike Holmgren, he didn't challenge a play with his. Was it his guy that fell and they pushed the ball back and it became 4th down? Didn't throw the flag. Mike Holmgren, to me, coached a terrible game. I'm sorry. I
think he was so incensed by the terrible officiating.
He could have been, but you know what? I mean, you're a professional coach. Refereeing is part of the game. And believe me, if Seattle were the Dolphins, I'd be livid too. But as a coach, I mean, it Hasselbeck too. If your coach is incensed yelling at the officials, I mean, 40 seconds to go, you got to know the situation.
Right.
You can't be sitting there thinking, boy, I wish we got that touchdown back. He's dancing around. And
that's the problem. They were so incensed by it that they didn't get their frame of mind back.
They could have kicked the field goal there, and at the end of the game, they were down by 11.
Yep.
You need a score and an onside kick.
The fact of the matter is,
you have to take one or the other.
Neither team represented their conference well at all. You know what I mean? There were much better teams in the National Football League this year that could have put on a much better show for us.
Roethlisberger, the youngest quarterback ever to win a Super Bowl. Woo!
Yeah, and one of the crappiest Super Bowl
the lowest
games.
rating ever for a winning quarterback.
Right.
22.6.
Right.
That's incredible.
And you know what? If Seattle won, okay, everybody would have been saying, Big Ben, not quite ready for the big game, second-year quarterback, look how much he stunk, blah, 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 blah. And it would have been true. He had that game anyway, but because they won, kind of sweep that under the carpet.
Well, he also had that terrible interception there near the goal line.
And he could have had two.
I mean, they probably would have. That probably would have put the game out of reach.
Right.
I mean, that was just a terrible pass.
How about the throw to was it Hines Ward that caught that long pass where I'll give Roethlisberger credit for this. He was dancing around the line.
He improvised,
and
yeah,
checked 3 times where the line of scrimmage was before he hucked the ball. That could have easily been intercepted.
That was more of a better play from Hines Ward,
and
it was from Roethlisberger.
It might have been.
Roethlisberger kind of threw up. Hines Ward made a great catch.
Yeah.
But, I mean, both quarterbacks were less than... Sean Alexander had a pretty decent game, but, you know, that reminds me, too. There was a couple of instances there. Second down in a mile.
Yep.
The handoff to Sean Alexander.
Yep.
I just think it's bad coaching by Holmgren all the way around. I'm sorry. You know, does Seattle have an issue with the referees? Absolutely, but
and they should.
They're going to look at themselves.
They didn't play well, but they
got to look at themselves.
As poorly as they played, Pittsburgh played worse. That's the fact of the matter.
I don't think they played worse. They made the plays they had to.
They barely did enough. They barely did enough to win the game. And you know, you put that same Pittsburgh game and insert it to 6 more Super Bowls from now, and they're going to win another 1 out of the 6, maybe. You know what I mean? You're just not going to win a Super Bowl that way typically, but the way things worked out.
Both teams
stunk.
It was a subpar performance, subpar Super Bowl. Not many big
plays.
Hines
Ward played well. Sean Alexander played well. Hasselbeck didn't have a bad first half.
No, but he threw some bad passes here.
The time of that, I can't.
Management thing was bad.
And that one play you were saying by the running back,
Willie Parker.
Yes, that was nice.
Longest run from scrimmage, 75 yards.
Good for him.
But I mean, it was just an odd Super Bowl. Everybody's like, yawning at it. I mean, the first half was very boring. You know, even though the score was 3-0, sometimes you get a lot of plays, a lot of yards.
I didn't mind that. It gave me the impression that the possibility was there that this was going to be a very defensively oriented game where at the end it could come down to a field goal.
I agree with you, but this is a Super Bowl. It felt like a Monday night game in October.
It wasn't even
a Monday
night game.
Well, that's what it felt like.
It was a typical Sunday 1 o'clock.
But the Steelers won. They covered the spread.
Yeah.
People
in Vegas are happy.
You know, these the controversies are going to go on now. Everybody's talking about what to do.
Let's talk about the referees, because I talked last week about the referees and their part-time position as referees, and we had a little back-and-forth banter about that. Well, now more than ever, I mean, what do these guys do all week before they suit up on Sunday? What do they fly in on Saturday, you know, get a good night's sleep, suit up on Sunday morning, and then go hit the game. You go hit the game and you're a Super Bowl referee. It just doesn't seem right. Something about that does not seem right. I think these guys absolutely need to somehow be full-time. I know your argument against that was, what do you do all week? Review game film, something.
Well, I mean,
pay these guys. The NFL
there's certainly an argument to be made. I mean, this was probably one of the worst officiated playoffs as a whole that I've seen in some time. Now, I think a lot of these calls happen during the year, or some calls don't happen, but they're so magnified now in the playoffs.
Right, they're not in the
We
limelight.
also, and this is the area that I'm worrying about a little bit, we also have so much technology. Let's not forget, when these guys make a call, these guys are running pretty fast.
Oh, yeah.
The ball is being thrown very hard.
Right. I don't disagree with what the
referees
are doing,
but,
okay?
You know, I don't know how much technology people are talking about putting infrared lines in the pylons and having a camera at the pylon.
Probably find out that infrared kills people.
Well, listen, I've heard it. They want to put a microchip in the nose of the football.
Yep.
If it touches, it'll beep. But you know, so what happens if there's a big pile and nobody sees it and the guy's beep beep?
Right.
I mean, you know, so there's a lot of different ways we can go here, but. You know, I just don't want to get too technical. I know they do it in tennis.
I think it needs to get more technical. You got instant replay, but there are certain qualifications to be able to use it, and it always seems like when you can't use it is when something goes wrong.
Well, the only thing I said was making these guys full time. Will it relate to better performance on Sunday? That's just a question I have.
I think it would.
Personally, I think, and again, not to offend our older citizens, because I'm certainly an older citizen, I think sometimes
there needs to be a cutoff.
Football is about position, and a lot of these guys are in great shape. Ed Hockley, as we know, he's got those big
Mr. Jack.
guns. But I think you need to get some younger guys in there. And if you make them full-time, now they can maybe do college spring practices.
Whatever.
And stuff like that. You got a younger guy who could just run to the play, maybe
pay
get in
him
better
well,
position.
Give them the darn benefits. It's the NFL. We all know you're downstairs making your own money, for crying out loud. I mean, you know, pay the guys. Let them do their job. If they want to continue being a lawyer or a vending machine mechanic during the week, whatever, then let them go. But as it relates to referees going full-time, if they want to do it, hire them. Let's get it going. Or hire more referees, or use technology more. I'm fine with using technology if it's going to get the call right. Somebody made a good point on the radio this morning. We're all talking about how in the various sports, okay, the players are bigger and they're faster and they're using more articulate plays. Well, maybe our referee system then is just a little archaic for what it is that we're now doing these days in the game of football as well as other sports. It's time to adapt.
It's a tricky question. Certainly something they're going to have to look at. Mike Pereira can come on and say all the things about everything is subjective, which it is. I mean, pass interference is subjective, holding is subjective, you know, but it's not only on the field, in my opinion. It's also got to be up in the booth. Maybe, you know, because like that Darrell Jackson play, you're going to have somebody look at that right away and either buzz the referee.
Maybe we got to ignore the whole red flag thing and just have somebody watching. They're just there for replays. They're watching every replay of any possible play that could be debatable, and they're going to buzz the referee downstairs to stop the game, you know, to look at a replay. I don't care if it slows the game down by 10 minutes. It's worthwhile. Then you won't have situations like this. Or then if it's something you want to experiment with, do it only in the playoffs where it really matters even more, you know. It seems like this year and maybe the last few years in general, we're having this conversation more and more about referees and the problems they're becoming. And don't get me wrong, okay? I am not blaming the referees. I think they have enough to do, like you said. They're doing stuff I could never do. They're watching plays. They're running yards. They're doing their thing. And
I just don't want to take any credit away from Pittsburgh because they made more plays in Seattle. You know, and I know Seattle fans are going to say, well, this changes
Look at the numbers, though.
Blah, blah, blah. Well,
look at the numbers.
Still.
What makes you think they made more plays? They made more plays.
They did.
They didn't get penalized for it.
Well, penalties are part of the games.
Conspiracy.
I don't think
How much time we have left? It can't be much. We've been talking conspiracy for so long. Couple minutes?
3 minutes if we're going to hot stove.
All right. And are we going to hot stove? It's kind of cool because I could see in the control room now. All right. So Dave's got a little hot stove. We got about 3 minutes left. 1 minute left if we're doing hot stove. So real quick, last minute. Jerome Bettis, big announcement at the big show. Are you surprised?
No, not at all. It's a great way to go out.
Absolutely.
You get to your second Super Bowl. You win your first one at home.
John Elway style.
In front of your home crowd, your family. You know, obviously not in Pittsburgh, but in Detroit where you grew up.
Right.
Great way to go out. He's been a class act.
I just hope he sticks to it. I hope he's really
leaving.
He
will because his body's
not doing a Michael Jordan.
Number 5 rusher in the NFL.
Yeah, he deserves credit.
Great career.
He's not number 1 in Pittsburgh anymore.
And I guess we'll put the football to bed for now until we get to the combines and draft and talk like that. Oh, thank you, Scott. I love you too, man.
Excellent.
And we'll get to some baseball talk. And
hot stove with Dave Betancourt. And now the Super Bowl's over, we might just talk a little baseball from this point on.
Not
every
much
now
left.
and
Not
again.
much left.
So thanks for watching. It's a sports show at yahoo.com. Thanks to Jennifer Farah. I'm Scott Cray. Dave is not here. Dave is about to speak to you.
I'm not Dave.
Hello, everyone. This is Dave, Hot Stove Report. I am currently walking around the parking lot outside of McCoy Stadium in hopes that baseball will be played soon. I got big news, of course, coming today from WEEI in Boston that the Red Sox reportedly are making a video to try to woo 43-year-old future Hall of Famer Roger Clemens to the Red Sox. Clemens is a free agent, or he can come back to the Astros, but not until May 1st. So a new video, get Clemens to Boston. One other note, King Bailey, who in 1895 played for the Cincinnati Reds, only played 1 game in his entire career. He pitched 8 innings, got the win, went 2 for 4, hit double, dove in a run, scored twice, and stole a base in his only game in the majors. Why is that important? It's not. Check out my blog, The Bullpen. What is it again? Hold on, let me think. The Bullpen. MLBlogs.com. You can learn more about useless information like that. So long.
End of new messages. Oh. helps to have female officers as well to be able to deal with some of those issues. What's the most striking difference that you see from when you started to where we are today in relation to the role and the job?